Hello everyone, my name is Rahul and welcome back to my YouTube channel. NSwag is a Swagger toolchain for .NET and provides tools to generate OpenAPI specifications for Web API controllers. The OpenAPI or Swagger specification uses JSON and JSON schema to describe a RESTful Web API. In this video, let's look at how we can integrate NSwag into our ASP.NET web development. We will see how to set up a Swagger endpoint for the ASP.NET Web API, also automatically generate type definitions in TypeScript for your front end to consume these APIs, and we'll also learn how this all works under the hood. NSwag is open source and is available on GitHub. I'll put a link in the description below. NSwag provides different ways to interact with the toolchain. The NSwag Studio using the command line as a NuGet package. You can also add them as MS build targets and also a few other. In this video, we will explore some of these options. To see this in action, let's go to Visual Studio and start creating a new ASP.NET web application. So I have Visual Studio opened here. Let's create a new project. I'll select ASP.NET Core Web Application and select Next. Let's name this NSwag Demo. Let's make sure this gets saved in the correct location. So I have all my YouTube videos under the YouTube folder. So let's go to the code and select this folder and create. Since we'll be also generating front-end types, let's use the React.js starter template for this video. So this will have a web API and also a React.js front-end, and click create. We have the template created here. So we have the controllers and we also have the React application inside the client app folder. This is basically the create React app, which the template uses to generate this React application. So let's first set up NSwag and set up a Swagger endpoint for this default out-of-the-box generated template. Note, this will also work exactly the same if you're setting this up on an existing API project that you already have. To set up the Swagger endpoint, we need to add the NuGet package. Let's right-click and choose Manage NuGet Packages and browse for NSwag ASP.NET Core. So let's install this into this project. The NuGet package is installed. So let's go to the startup.cs to configure the Swagger endpoint. Under the configure services, let's use the services and call the add Swagger document extension method. And let's pass the configuration to set up the title for this particular API. So in this case, I'll name this YouTube API. The add Swagger document adds the services required for Swagger 2.0 generation. You could also change the document settings to generate OpenAPI 3.0. In this case, I'll leave that as default, but just pass the configure.title, which will make this as the title of the generated API. Under the configure method, let's add the use OpenAPI generator to set this up. To make the UI available, we'll also need to make a call to use Swagger UI3. So this generates the UI to visualize all this Swagger document for our endpoint. And by default, this will be available at the /Swagger endpoint. With these 3 lines of code, we now have the Swagger definitions set up for our controller. So let's run this code to see this in action. The first time you run, since there is a create React application inside, this is automatically running the npm install. This is because of an MS build target that's there in the CS project. If you right click the CS project and look at edit project file, here you can see that this is running an npm install under the spa root directory, which is basically the client app, which has the package.json file. Whenever we build the solution, because of this target that's defined here, it will automatically run the npm install and also set up the spa application for us. The application is running, so let's switch to the browser. You can see the default template for the ASP.NET React application. If we go to the /Swagger endpoint, this has set up the Swagger UI for us. This is because we called in to the Swagger UI generation in the configure method. So this has the title that we set up, YouTube API, and it also gives the weather forecast controller, which is part of the template. So if we expand this, we can see the get forecast method. It also shows us the list of models available. In this specific case, it's the weather forecast. So if you go back to the source code, under controllers, you can see the weather forecast controller, which exposes a get method and that returns an enumerable of weather forecast. Switching back to the UI, if you want to execute this, you can expand this get request and say try it out. So now you can execute this API right from the browser and get the responses back. This makes API development very easy because you can test this right from this UI using any input that you want to give. Let's go back to the source code and add a new controller and see how that API endpoint comes up in the Swagger specification. To create a new class using the keyboard, let's use the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-C. This might be different for your case, so if you want to find what the shortcut is to create a new class, just press Ctrl-Q. Pressing Ctrl-Q is going to put focus on this global search toolbar in Visual Studio. Let's type Ctrl-Q and type add class. So this is going to show you the shortcut for creating a new class, which is Ctrl-Shift-C in my case. So if I put my focus back to the Solution Explorer, I can press Ctrl-Shift-C and it will prompt me the add new item dialog and create a class. So let's say hello YouTube controller and add this. So this is going to create a new class. So let's inherit this from the controller base. Let's add a new endpoint that returns a hello YouTube message. So I'm going to take in a name and return hello and the name. So I'm using string interpolation here. So in this case, this is simply returning back a hello name. You can decorate this with the HTTP GET attribute. Let's also make sure to mark this as an API controller and specify the route as the controller name itself. So once that's done, let's run this again and see how this reflects in the Swagger UI. Let's go to the Swagger endpoint and this shows up the hello YouTube controller now. Expand that and you can see the get method in here. It gives you an option to pass the name. So click try it out and let's say Rahul and execute it. This is going to return us the value hello Rahul. So I have not done any extra coding to generate the Swagger endpoint. NSwag is automatically looking at these controller endpoints and generating the Swagger specification for us. NSwag is making it extremely easy for us to generate the API documentation. Typically, in an application, you would be using this API from your front-end application. In this case, it's a React application living under the client app folder. Normally, when writing front-end applications, I use TypeScript. This gives us type safety and a lot of other benefits. When using TypeScript, I need to define the types for my API that I am consuming. For this, you could either handwrite these endpoints, the APIs. So in this specific case, if we had the weather forecast, we would have to create a weather forecast type in TypeScript. And also in the other case, it would just be a plain string or whatever data transfer objects that you use to return back from your API. So I have an application, NSwag Studio, that we saw as another way to interact with NSwag already installed in my computer. You can find the download link in the description below or in the GitHub repository that we saw earlier. So I have NSwag Studio opened up here. So let's make sure I have the right runtime selected. In my case, this is a .NET Core 3.0 application. If you are not sure, you can go back to your project, right-click your project, and under Properties, you can see the target framework, which is .NET Core 3.0. Let's go to the Swagger endpoint and click the swagger.json file. This gives us the Swagger in the JSON representation format. So let's just use this URL for NSwag Studio. So let's go back and give this in the specification URL here. NSwag Studio gives us an option to generate different clients. In this case, since we are interested in TypeScript client, let's check that. This gives us a new tab, TypeScript client, where you can configure the settings for generating this type. If you go to output and click the generate outputs, you can see the default generated client for this particular API. Generally, I just generate the types and write the client myself. So let's go back to the settings and make sure to uncheck this box so that it doesn't generate any client classes. I just need the DTO types to be generated. You can specify the type style. Generally, I use the interface, so I'll specify that. And you could go down and change all these as you want. Let's click again the generate output, and this time around, it just creates the weather forecast model details for us. So if you add a new model type for your endpoint, it'll automatically come up here. So let's stop this, and in our Hello YouTube controller, let's add a hello message class and return that as part of our get method. So this is going to return a hello message, and we can create a new hello message and specify the message is equal to the hello name message. So let's build this again, run this, go back to the NSWAG Studio and click generate outputs again. So this is going to read this particular endpoint and generate the types for us. We have the interface with the hello message that's just generated for us, which has the message property. You could copy this and use this in your Create React application. So let's say I copy that, go back to our source code, and under our source, let's add a new TypeScript file and call this models.ts. And we could paste this in here. In our API endpoints, we can use this whenever we want. You could manually copy this if this is a one-off case. But when you are developing your application, you might be adding more and more API endpoints, and it becomes a pain to do this manually every time you do that. So let's see how we can automate this using the NSWAG MS build to generate these types automatically for us every time we build the application. To do that, let's go and add a new NuGet package to our project. So let's go to Manage NuGet Packages and search for nswag.msbuild. This is going to give us a package that integrates with the MS build. Let's go to nswag msbuild and see how we can use this. So here we see that we need to add a new target into the CS project file. The target uses an nswag.json file. So if you want to get more details about this configuration document, you can click this link and this will give you the full template. But this has a lot of options and it's going to be a pain to generate it out manually. So let's go to NSWAG Studio and use it to generate the API endpoint. Now when we generate it from the MS build, we don't want to use a URL because at the build time, the application would not be hosted. So we'll need to use the ASP.NET Core via the API Explorer option and give the DLL path for our application. So let's click Browse and go to the folder that we have our application stored. Let's go to the bin folder under the debug and we have the nswagdemo.dll. So let's select that. Let's go back to the settings for the TypeScript client. So every time this is going to get built, we need it to rewrite into the models.ts file. So let's select the output file path, go back into the NSWAG demo. Under the client app, source, we have the model.ts file. So let's choose that and click Save. Let's save this as a JSON file. To do that, click the file and click Save. So let's go back to the NSWAG demo root folder and save this as an nswag.json file and click Save. So now we have the nswag.json as part of our source code. This specifies the options that's used to generate the TypeScript classes. So you can see it has the output as client app source model.ts and it also uses these nswagdemo.dll from the bin folder. The runtime is specified, which we had selected in the dropdown. Let's open the CS proj. So let's edit the project file and go and copy the nswag build that we need to use. So this is what the recommended configuration is. Let's copy this target definition and go to our CS project file. So let's edit the project file and add in this new target inside here. The order of this doesn't matter because time that this is being run is specified as part of the target itself. So if you can see, this has a name nswag. It will be run after the build target is run. That's what is specified by the after targets. So this target executes the nswag executable and passes the nswag JSON file which we just created. Since we're using .NET Core 3.0, let's use the appropriate nswag executable reference here. To find that, go to the repository and you can look at the available properties for the nswag exe. In this case, I'll use the nswag exe for Core 3.0. Let's copy that and replace it in here. Since this is set up, let's build this to see what happens. So you can see in the build output that there is this executing file nswag.json. Let's go to the model.ts to see what has happened. Now you can see this extra code generated files and also the automatic models generated here. So when we build the application, the nswag executable was run, passing in the config which looked at our DLLs and generated the Swagger specification using this particular JSON file and put the details in the model.ts file. This is what we did earlier by manually copying and pasting, but now this is all automated. So if I come back to Hello YouTube controller and let's say add a new property which says string and the username, and if I build this again, it's again going to build that target, and we can go back to model.ts and you can see the username property coming up here automatically. So anytime you change your models, it's going to get automatically reflected in your TypeScript models. So if there is a mismatch, your TypeScript will throw an error and you can easily fix this at compile time itself. Also, when you add a new endpoint, you automatically get the TypeScript definitions. This makes it easy for your front-end development. Now going back to the CS project file, this is going to be run every time you run a build. However, you might not want to run this in your build deploy pipeline. So you would ideally want to check in this model.typescript file every time the developer makes a change so that the models are always up to date. To restrict this from running in the build pipeline, let's go and add in a new condition. So let's specify a condition and use the configuration property which we have used in here. So let's use the $configuration and run this only when it's in debug. Ideally, when you're running a build in your build pipeline, you would be running it under release. While you're developing, you would usually have it as debug. You can select between debug and release in the configuration manager up here in Visual Studio. So now this particular target is going to be run only if this condition is met. So let's update this property to username new and make it release under the configuration manager and build this again. Since the condition for the target doesn't match, this time it's not going to run the generation. So if we go to model.ts, the property is still username. However, if I switch it back to debug and run it again, it's going to update the property. Typically in your development environment, you would be running under the debug configuration, so this should work perfectly. If you're wondering how this particular variable is getting populated, you can look at the NuGet package. Expand the dependencies and under the package, you can see that there is this MS-build NuGet package. The way this is referenced here is using the package reference tag, and it also says to include all the assets that's part of this particular package, which also include a build asset. So let's look at the properties of the NuGet package, copy the path, and explore what's inside that particular path. This has a folder build, which also has an nswag MS-build props. Let's open this up in a code editor. You can see the various properties defined inside this particular file. Since we used nswag exe core 3.0, it's using the .NET command to run the DLL and then passing in those parameters that we gave. So this is basically running the nswag CLI using the .NET command and passing in the nswag.json file. So let's go back and you can see the exact same name used here from the property groups and passing the run and the JSON file configuration. Hope this helps you to set up the Swagger endpoint for your ASP.NET application. Also, by setting up the automatic type generation into TypeScript, we are making the front-end development easier. So anytime you make a change or add a new controller endpoint, it automatically generates the types for you. So you don't have to manually copy and paste this across. It also avoids any renaming errors because that's going to automatically throw a TypeScript error when you build your TypeScript front-end application. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to be notified of future such videos, please make sure to subscribe. It really helps me to grow this YouTube channel. Thank you and see you soon.